Hello, I am here to talk about full moon ritual. And I have a very old video up, but I thought I would do a new one. This is my first time going live on YouTube, so I'm excited about that. There used to be restrictions that you had to have at least 1,000 followers, and that's not true anymore. So I'm excited about that. These full moon sheets can actually be downloaded and printed on my website, and I will include the link in the comments, in the caption. So, what you'll do is you'll print, and it'll be these 2 pages together, and this is what they'll look like. Okay? And every full moon, we are in the halfway cycle of the moon month. The moon month starts on new moon and it goes to new moon. And so there's this misconception that the full moon is the end, that's the explosion, it's the finale, but it's not. It's actually the midway point. And I love that as far as imagery, because even in illness, when you're healing, there's always this peak and then it starts to wane. And then in that waning, that's when you're integrating and you're becoming well and you're becoming a better, improved version of yourself, because you take on the immunities of that thing that you have battled and confronted and went through. You've integrated all the good. You've released all the things that you no longer need to move forward. And so you are this new version of yourself. And if you use that energy every month, you are constantly being reinvented. So as you print those, the one sheet that has a tri-fold, tri-section, you're going to split them into 3, because this is how I present into the fire ceremony of the full moon. And so in the full moon ceremony, I always open the fire by burning my old gratitude list. And you're going to have this other large sheet is the gratitude list. So I always open my relationship with fire by burning the old gratitude list. And I make an offering. And so if you are interested in my fire offering, it's sacred fire offering that I make myself. It's made with knick and tobacco, sacred herbs that are charged on my altar. They are available for purchase. And so you make an offering to fire to solidify your relationship. And it's so important to meet all of the elements with this love and gratitude and reverence. And this is how you open up your relationship with fire. And so opening that ritual, you always burn the old gratitude list. And when you split the other paper into the 3, you'll see that on the top of each paper, it specifically lists what that trifold is for. So forgiveness is always the first one that I fill out and burn. And so in a full moon ritual, like I said, it's the halfway point. You're in the culmination of all of this moon month. What were the seeds that you planted in the new moon? And the full moon is when you start to see what you are cultivating, poking through the soil. So you get to witness it and say, oh, wow, okay, either my intention was off or I am now moving into something new. So then you take that energy and you say, okay, I'm going to move forward with this. This is what I'm building from. That was my intention. This is what I'm moving for. You can really see what you don't need anymore. That's what I want you to move into, because you set the intentions 2 weeks prior to the full moon. But when you hit the full moon, you're really aware of how those changes are starting to manifest in your life. So the relationships that are no longer serving you, behaviors that are no longer serving you, repeating patterns will be showing up for you to specifically connect deeper with yourself. And really, that's what manifesting is about. Manifesting isn't about driving a Maserati. Manifesting is about constantly reinventing yourself so that you can be the best and highest version of yourself, right? So the first list is forgiveness. And so in the forgiveness list, I always keep it current. I mean, if you need to forgive your mother again, and again, do it. But I try to keep it current. Like, what events have just been coming up in my very recent experiences that need forgiving? And usually it's myself. I need to forgive myself first, right? And so I forgive myself for what? What do I forgive myself for? Right? And so I usually put the person and then why. If you add the why, it just really makes the connection deeper when you burn it. Because when you're burning anything, you are making a sacred offering, and nothing can be touched by fire and not forever changed. So when you're meeting the fire, you're giving the fire a part of yourself. You are being vulnerable, you're opening yourself, and you are also inviting in that sacred element of fire to assist you in moving into your highest intentions. And I got a hello from Baltimore. Hello. So what you're going to do is write down who you're forgiving and why, right? And then you're going to keep a tally. I usually keep a tally on my gratitude sheet, but you don't fill this out yet. So if I had to forgive 3 people, I put each person and then why. Then I move on to the next one. So the next sheet is the cutting cords. This is an interesting one because I hear it talked about a whole lot, but no one ever really explains what's a cord, right? What is this? I'm cutting cords, but what exactly does that mean? We create these etheric strands, these spiritual cords between ourselves and others all the time subconsciously. Can it be done purposely? Of course. If someone is feeding off of you, you know it. You would absolutely know, because every time you come into any kind of experience or exchange with them, you go away completely depleted, drained, tired. They just constantly drain you each time. That is usually according. That you wouldn't be feeling like that if they were not tapped into you as sustenance or as a source of energy. So those are the things I want you to feel into. If someone calls you and then you look at your phone and you see that it's that specific person and you're like, oh, that person is probably corded into you. That's a good indicator too. Like if you just, man, you're not even talking to them yet and you're already retracting, that's a really good sign that that person is completely tapped into you as an energetic source or sustenance. So what happens is subtly these cords are created, usually in some kind of codependent dynamic, right? I need you to need me in order for our relationship to work, right? Which is the greatest percentage. It can also be from parent to child or even intimate partners, because you love them so deeply. You really do try to rescue and save them harder experiences, right? And those we do subconsciously all the time. So feel into those relational energies that you feel are taxing you energetically. Like, this is draining me. All of a sudden, I started dreaming of this person every night. chances are they're probably corded into you. So those are the names. I just usually write down their full names. And then again, tally the numbers. So if you cut cords with 4 people, remember we forgave 3 people, we cut cords with 4 people, keep the tally on your gratitude sheet. And then the last paper, this is the big release. This is the big release for the full moon. This is something now that you've witnessed over the past 2 weeks of setting the intentions on the new moon that, you know what, this is a really old behavior. This is a repeating pattern for me. I am so ready to let go of this. I am so ready to let go of gaslighting myself, right? Like, I'm so ready to let go of self-doubt. I am so ready to let go of people pleasing. I am so ready to let go, whatever. I usually say go for one big one, because when you set intentions like this and you meet the elements of fire, what happens is that in that burning, in that ceremony, it is lifted to the heavens. And all of a sudden, the entire energetic of the universe rises to support you in this. So if you're not ready, it can be pretty intense of an overhaul, because the universe will show up in support of that and remove people from your life, remove energy from your life. It will completely rearrange things so that you can move into the intention that you set. And that's also considering the seeds of manifestation that you planted on the new moon. So I usually go for one big one. I have had clients and people in ceremony go for more than one, but again, keep the tally. So if you do 1 or 10, keep the tally and then add them up. So I usually do 1. So if I forgive 3, I cut cords with 4, and I release one thing, that's a count of 8. So what happens, and you are going to burn these, right, when you meet fire. But the gratitude list is going to be a list of 8 things. Because when we burn, we are releasing, we're letting go, and we are creating now a void of energy in our own etheric field. And so that energy does not become occupied by something that is harmful or dark, we want to immediately fill it with light so that we can expand in that release, right? So we are now creating this container of light to call in more light. It's going to magnetize the things that you are intending to magnetize to you, instead of trying to fill it with more darkness like you released. So we're going to have 8 things on the gratitude list. Now, what to be grateful for? I usually recommend that you're not playing it safe. Everybody's thankful for their health. Everyone is thankful for waking up this morning. I want you to really challenge yourself to look for the extraordinary. Something to be grateful for that feels completely unique in the recent past. So I say usually try to not go back further than a month, because you want to keep it current. And what that actually does is it sends a message to all the powers that be, to source, to the universe, to your guides, every supporting force, that please send me more of this. I desire more of this, right? And that's why I say, really look for the extraordinary. So, for instance, last month I was grateful for my ex-husband, the father of my children, approaching me to work on my ex-mother-in-law. That was a 2-part gift. One, that there was this humility in him to approach me, to even ask. That was huge amount of healing, because what he did in that approach is that he admitted that he saw me all along. that in my fullness and in my power, it didn't go unseen. But he was probably intimidated, scared, um, so many things. I can't presume to know what he felt or why he didn't ever give me the reverence that I deserved decades ago. But anyhow, him approaching me to work on my ex-mother-in-law was huge. And her, then, that's part two of the gift, her receiving me was also huge. And so she had been in and out of the hospital for about a month, literally every few days going back to the hospital. And they just couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She would be admitted for a couple days, then sent home. And she was just uncomfortable. They had her on an inhaler. She was feeling weak. She couldn't even do her physical therapy anymore. And so she was just feeling like she was in her last days. And so when I went to work on her, what I had discovered is that there was some trapped emotional energy in her body, some old trauma. We talked about it. I did some energy work and told her it's not time for you. And so it's been more than 2 months now. So in this now, because that was on my gratitude list last month, okay, 2 parts. I included the gratitude for him approaching me, which really was this validation of self. And it completely mirrored what my intentions were, right? To be self-approving, to be self-appraising. When you are increasing your level of self-love to the effect of being self-approving, there is no judgment outside of you that will ever thwart your intentions to do anything in your experiences, because you would not move in a way that was manipulative, coercive, or editing who you were, downplaying, playing small. And so in that 2-part, also her validating my gifts, I now have this new level of gratitude because she was in and out of the hospital for a month, and now it's been 2 months. She has not returned. She is off of the inhaler. She is now doing so well that she's going back to physical therapy. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the divine energy that moves through me. I'm grateful for my trust in myself. So this now is going to be added to my gratitude list for this month, because that came to my reality. It was brought to me actually by my son, who talked to his aunt, my ex-sister-in-law. So that's hugely powerful, and it's extraordinary. And that's the things that I want you to tap into. What experiences have I had in my reality that are evidentiary proof of my divine nature and my connection to all that is? That's way better than saying, I got my favorite ice cream, or I woke up this morning, right? Because our bodies will naturally do what they're supposed to do if you are embodied. It just naturally happens. So you add the 8 things, and then you're ready to approach fire. So you burn the first one, and I always recommend putting your voice behind it. Anything that you're willing to say out loud, it lifts that energy and amplifies it. So I forgive ... for ... and then go down the next one. I forgive, right? And then you connect with the offering. Oh, it smells so good. You put the paper in the fire and make an offering to fire, making sure that your heart is open wide. and then watch it burn. Now, here's the interesting, and you're going to do that for all 3 in a row, right? The second one, I'm cutting the irrevocably severing these cords in all directions of time in any dimension with the following ... right? And then the last, I release, and that big release. Then you burn it, right? And you're making offerings each time. Now, the interesting thing is that paper is flammable, right? You can put a match to it and it would burn right up, but everything is energy. So when you approach a sacred fire, and I'm talking, it can be just in a shell, it could be in a fireproof bowl, but you're setting the intention. This is a sacred fire. I'm connecting with the element of fire, brother fire. I am meeting you in this sacred ritual to help me release these things so that I may evolve and be my highest and best self, right? So when you approach brother fire that way, he will also feel into you. What is your true intention? If you say, I forgive my mother, and you really don't, that paper is going to have a very slow burn or possibly not burn at all. I have witnessed people in ceremony have their paper jump out of the fire. Like all of a sudden, it seems like there's this waft of air that pushes it out of the fire and it doesn't burn at all. So you have to really sink into your heart and find the part of you that is retracting, that is really resistant to forgiving, or resistant to cutting that cord, or resistant to release, right? Because each list is going to be unique. What do you have the most issue with? What are you most scared of letting go of? And it'll be evident in the burning part of it. Then with the gratitude, once you burn it all, you're going to see where you're most resistant. And then when you read your gratitude list, you're reading it also in front of the fire, but this you do not burn. You can make an offering to the fire for witnessing you, but the gratitude list, it always gets hung somewhere that you're going to see it every single day for the next month. And what that does is it keeps you aligned with the energy of gratitude, which is one of the highest spiritual frequencies that you can embody. Okay, so you're going to hang it somewhere you see every day. You're going to read it back to yourself every single day, and you're going to be manifesting more of those extraordinary things for yourself, magnetizing divine experiences to come to you. And making that offering to fire just solidifies your relationship with brother fire. And this is a powerful, powerful ritual. Like I said, I will put the link actually to the fire offering and to the free PDFs in the caption below. So have a wonderful day, and thank you, and blessed full moon. I don't know how to end this. There we go.